Please stand for Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Pam.
Mayor Grimminger.
Here.
Alderman Couch. Alderwoman Zerwig. Here. Alderman John Stupi.
Here.
Alderman Jokers.
Here.
Alderman Donnie Stupi.
Here.
Alderman Okenfoos. Alderman Ross.
Here.
Alderwoman Broomfield. Here. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Approval agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, tonight we do have a couple personal appearances. First, we have the St. Genevieve High School National Junior Honor Society representatives are asking the city's permission to host a color run on the streets of St. Genevieve. So if somebody would like to get up and explain that to the board a little bit.
Well, I just...
Could you?
You have the microphone.
Yeah, you're on TV, and so everybody has to hear you.
And then you have to tell everybody who you are.
I'm Sharon Fowler, and I co-sponsor the National Junior Honor Society with Amy Rowland, and I have some of our officers and chair people here, and we took over the Chad's Coalition 5K run walk. Then we're going to do it March 29th, and it's been done several years in the past, but this year the girls came up with an idea to make it a color run, because color is what life is. We want to represent the Chad's Coalition, which everybody knows is a teenage suicide prevention program, and with the color we were hoping to bring more participation and motivation to this project and raise more money, more funds. We put together a little bit of where the run goes through. I think you have that in your packet of exactly where the run goes. And we also put together some places where we thought might be better places to throw the powder, which the powder is made of cornstarch and tempera, water-based tempera powdered paint, and we've tried this paint, and it doesn't stain. It may stain your clothes or your skin, but as far as washing off the streets, washing off of buildings, washing off of vehicles, it comes right off. I used it tonight in my house. I threw it on my husband's pickup. It came right off. I threw it on my house. It came right off. So it's non-toxic. It's washable, and it's what the kids. It's what they want. If anybody has seen on the internet the color runs that they do, they're very well attended, and people just love them. I mean, it's the new thing. Yes. Well, it cleans up. We have our group that will clean up, the big part of it, but it won't wash away until it rains. Like what's left on the streets, what we can't get up will be washed away with the rain. So if it doesn't rain for a couple weeks, then that could be, we would have stained streets for a couple of weeks. But as soon as it rains, it will wash away. And we've talked to people in Donovan. They have done this, and they've done it a couple years, and they've had a big turnout, and they've had no problems with it being washed away, it being staining anything. And like I said, it's cornstarch and tempera water-based powdered paint.
Any chance?
Go ahead.
Teddy.
So who's going to be throwing the
Well, we have,
sprinkle? Are you going to sprinkle?
well, you can either use just they suggest using like a ketchup bottle and just squirting it so that it comes out, or you can, if you can use a small cup and the wind kind of takes it, and people that, if you're in a big group, the ones in the middle probably won't get a lot of color, but if you want color, they tell you to run on the ends, because at every spot we'd have 4 or 5 people on each side of the street throwing this different color. We would have a yellow color, we'd have a red, we'd have a blue, a green station, and then at the end of the race, which we do have permission from the superintendent of schools, once everybody gets back on campus, everybody will have their own small bag of color, and you just count down, and 3, 2, 1, and everybody throws it up, and it all comes down, and you get all colored. So, like I said, that's
Sounds
what,
like fun.
it does sound like fun.
It might look better than the snow and the slush.
That's probably true. That's probably true.
Maybe it'd be gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only concern from the stations that you pointed out is whether you're in proximity to privately owned property, and if it's windy, they may get color on a building against
Well,
their
like I
wishes.
said, I did it today at my house, and it will go, but it doesn't go that far, because it's such a fine powder, it doesn't travel very far, you know? And if we use the squirt bottles, I think it's just going to just kind of dissipate in the air. By the time it comes down, it's going to be,
Have you talked to people in Donovan that did?
Yes,
Did
we
they
have
have
talked.
any issues with any?
no, they have had not any concerns at all with it, you know, the
So any
people,
place that they squirt this or powder this, that the people were fine with?
yes. And I think some of the places, I mean, these are just some suggestions that we come up with. I mean, if you don't approve the spots, if you don't like any of the spots, we can change them. We don't have to have them all. Like I said, we do have permission to do the ones on campus, and so, I mean, at least we thought that if we could add a few more spots to that. It doesn't have to be one for every K. It can be, you know, spots. One we thought for sure would be a good spot would be like Riverview and Main Street, which is up closer to the park, which is
That is a good
away from, you know. The only reason we put the one right out here is because it's a bigger intersection, and it's where there would be a bigger group of people, because they'll be coming from the parking lot in St. John, and there might be a bigger group of people that would be together, you know, to enjoy the powder all at one time.
Can you,
To go along with this, I take it are you going to ask for street closures?
We've
for the-
talked to, I think in the past, Mr. Schweiss had done it before in the past, and he talked to the Chamber of Commerce and the city police, and we have an ambulance worked out to where the ambulances would run as well. I'm not real sure, because this is our first time doing this, but Kyle Schweiss has done it in the past, and he says they've not really closed streets, because they've only had about 60 to 80 people. But we may need to, you know, ask for closed streets, because our route starts in the parking lot and ends in the parking lot, and it goes down, comes down here, and it goes down to Main all the way up to Riverview. It'll be on a Saturday morning.
Somebody will help you through that. We'll probably close the street.
Mayor,
for
when
a
we
certain
do
amount of time.
when we do our Monster Dash run, we never close the streets.
Okay.
Eric always has a lead car and a follow car.
Yeah, they could-
And we have people stationed at all the main intersections just to get everybody through. And everybody has been very
That would be the only
cooperative
thing with this,
With up here.
with this intersection would be to
And we use this one,
probably
too.
close it, I mean, if they're gonna be throwing
Yeah,
powder
that's true.
at the same time, might be a good idea to close it at least while that small group of, I mean, it would be more than, because still by then, the
Yeah.
main group would still be
That's
together.
why we thought this out here would be a good spot, because we thought the group would be bigger, still bunched up more, because
Yeah.
it's just starting the
Just
race.
started.
And it may be a bigger group at that time. But even as the people pass through, if there's some color left, you know, if there's stragglers, they may, I don't know if we would still throw, I think we would probably hit the big group more so than smaller groups. Yes, ma'am?
What's your fee? What's the,
Well, we're charging $30 for an entry fee, which includes a bag of powder and a T-shirt. The proceeds would go all to Chad's Coalition. I think in the past, they charged $25 for this particular run. We are asking for sponsorships from different businesses, and that's in addition to this initial fee for just the runners. So the kids are all out hitting the decks, getting the sponsorships, and bigger companies, Mississippi Lime, Wholesome, companies like that are all pledging money. And I think last year, Kyle Schweiss told us that they got about $4,000. So, I mean, we would like to at least get that. If, you know, our expenses are going to be higher, there's no doubt. That's why we raised the price to $5. The shirts are gonna run us about $5, and the powder they thought would probably run us about $5 a person. Because the cornstarch, and the cornstarch isn't very expensive, but the temper paint is. It's a pound of cornstarch to a pound of paint. And the paint runs about $3.50 a pound, where the cornstarch you can buy for about $25 for 50 pounds. So,
And when's the registration for that?
as soon as we get a verdict here tonight, we're gonna put out our flyers, and the cutoff would be March 10th, so that we can get the sponsors on the back of the t-shirts. And then we would still take late entries, but they wouldn't get a shirt. So,
Could you talk a little bit about the Chad's Coalition? Since we have the viewers out there watching, I'm sure some of them do not really know what this is for.
well, Chad's Coalition is an organization that we raise money for the prevention of teen suicide. We've had several students and several people in the community that have committed suicide, and we feel like this is a very good organization for us to get attached to, because these are some of our higher achieving students, and they know how pressures can be with trying to be the higher achieving students and being everything to everybody. And so they want to be strong, and they want to show everybody that suicide is not an answer, that we need to band together and come up with some different ways to counsel these kids that are struggling with the suicide thoughts. And Chad's Coalition has done that. They've raised a lot of money for teenage suicides.
Do they wear goggles or what?
Well-
What's the chance of that powder getting into their eyes?
We, as the organization, we are going to sell sunglasses and bandanas. You know, like I said, if you want powdered on you, then you get to the end of the group. If you don't want it, you kind of stay to the middle. There is a chance of the powder, but they know that, and they're going to be signing a waiver that they know that this is a powder run. And if they don't, most people want to be, if they're going to run in a powder run, they know what's all involved in it. But like I said, they do usually wear sunglasses or some type of a bandana.
And you're using cornstarch, right?
Yes.
So,
It's
little
and the temper
Yeah,
paint
but-
is non-toxic, so it's safe. It's not anything. I'm sure that if you got some in your eye, it may irritate your eye, but hopefully that won't
With the
happen.
wind, you never know. When I worked at the lime kiln, we had safety glasses, but then
Sure.
they made us wear
Sure.
side shields,
Yeah.
because even with the glasses on, safety glasses, you still get stuff in your
Sure.
eyes. So I
Yeah.
just wanted to know who was taking responsibility. I know you said you're going
We've
to have an
partnered with
ambulance
the
out.
community center, and they have the insurance waiver that we would need if there was a possibility. But like I said, the runners all sign a waiver saying that they are aware of the risks that they are as far as running and as far as the powder goes too.
Okay, thank you. Somebody
Mayor, and
had a question or had their hand raised?
in
I was just
November.
going to add to the Chad's Coalition, because I'm also a guidance counselor at St. John, along with co-sponsoring Sharon, and they've done a lot with training our faculty, and also when I go in and talk to these kids about depression and stuff like that, they have a model of acknowledge, care, tell, that they kind of trained us to train the kids. And I know the middle school counselor and I both do lessons in the 7th and the 9th grade that is based on Chad's Coalition. So we've kind of, as a school district, had a partnership with them in several different ways. So that's kind of why Chad's Coalition.
John?
In November, when me and my wife was in Baltimore, we went to a color run, and it's one of the neatest things you'll ever see if you go. There was thousands and thousands of
Yeah.
people. And it ain't as bad as everybody thinks it is.
Yeah, well, we're hoping for hundreds, so I don't know.
I know, but I seen the powder and all,
Yes.
and it ain't like you think. I mean, you get a lot of color on it.
Yes, you do.
It was a neat neat deal.
The
up
hardest
there.
place to get off is your skin.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't stain. Like I said, I threw it on my vehicle, I threw it on my house, and it just came off with just throwing water up on it afterward. And it blows off too if there's any kind of a breeze, because it's such a fine powder. I have a sample if you
Well, there
would
was
like to see
babies in
it.
strollers with it on, everything. It just, so it can't be that bad.
Blink your eyes and
Throw it on me, yeah. Throw it on me.
how about throw it in there?
Volunteer, I'm leaving anyway, right? So if I get stained, who cares?
That's what I call whatever.
Little dance, yeah.
See, I thought you'd volunteer being a teacher and all.
This is what I used. It's just and I just sprinkled it because I wasn't sprinkling it on anybody. But they suggest using like ketchup bottles or squirt bottles, and you can just kind of squirt it and it just flies out.
We were here for
But,
a while, and it was still.
This is what stayed in the rag after I wiped it off. So this was white, and then I just had the red colored paint. So this is what stayed in the
The
rag.
mayor would probably like to have some of that.
Throw some on it.
Throw it in the middle of the table.
Cornstarch.
Yeah. I mean, our streets have a lot grungier stuff in
Yeah.
now.
Let's be on my hands the rest of the day. What's gonna happen?
It's a neat deal.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Any other question? Eric, you're all right with this? No issues with you, right?
He's all
All right.
As long as he doesn't have to wash
So
the
then we just
streets, right?
Sure, somebody will make a motion now.
Were it not for the color part of it.
For the street closure?
That was kind of the big concern, but it, you know, I didn't know anything about it, so I really felt it was important that we bring it here to discuss it.
I'd move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. All right, thank you for
Thank
coming.
you. Thank you very much, and
Thank
we
you.
hope to see you all running March 29th.
We're walking.
Or walking.
I'd rather throw it.
Well, we could probably use that too.
Yeah, you can do that. Oh, yeah.
Thanks a lot, people.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Sharon. Thanks.
Good-looking little young woman.
Clothes or whatever, that's what's in bulk.
I think that's a good
Yeah.
idea.
Probably not gonna.
Standing up for something that's.
That's what they do.
Okay, next, Stacy Bell, the municipal band president, will give us a report and answer any questions about the muni band.
Good evening. I think we should dump that color on the band.
There you go.
In your packets, you should have a muni band packet for the 2013 season. And it should include the performance dates from last year, financial statements, and our personnel roster. Included in there are the grants from last year from the grant committee. The grant committee had a good season last year. We partially or fully funded several events. That's the committee that meets 4 times a year to give out the free grant money in the city.
You had any requests yet?
The first session is only either March 1st or 15th. It's coming up.
Looks like you had put one in right away, right after New Year's.
We would have to ask.
March 15th, what does that cover? I mean, how many months?
They can't, we have 4 filing periods, and it's either the 1st or the 15th. I always get that mixed up. I think it's March 1st, May 1st, July 1st, and then September 15th. So then anytime after September 15th, you can turn in a grant all the way up until March 1st. And I don't know if we have any turned in yet.
Are you better off waiting until it's closer, or just turn it in any time?
I think you should turn it in at any time, yeah. Just make
That way-
sure you get it turned in.
That way, if you don't, if we wouldn't
Right.
have the funds for that quarter, then you can maybe reapply.
Right. Sometimes, like in the case of Jour de Fête, they might apply in May and then reapply in July, because if we have extra funds, we might be able to fund them twice.
And the applicants are doing better.
Getting their stuff in.
I would say the verdict is still out.
Okay.
The politically correct answer. Okay. What I wanted to say tonight was, While I was looking over our contract that's coming up for this year, 2014, I would request that the Muni Band funding be increased. I was looking back through our paperwork, and the last time the band had an increase was 2006. And since then, our ending balance has decreased by over $5,000. We haven't given our principal players a raise in over 10 years. I know we are using some of our balances to fund the grant program, but I would like to see our regular players be rewarded for their work as well. The Muni Band tax is for the smooth running of the municipal band itself, and second would be areas such as the grant program. So I would ask that you maybe increase $1,000 or $2,000 per payout period. We do 3 payout periods, either $1,000 to $2,000 increase on each of those from our account into the Muni Band fund.
That would require a budget amendment, so, and we're going to be doing budget amendments because of the snow and some road work. So we'll make sure that that gets included in the issues that are considered when we're doing the various budget amendments we need to do.
That would be great.
We need to have it part of this first, right?
Pardon me?
If we raise it, we're gonna have to have it part of this ordinance.
It's not in this agreement, is it, Stacy?
No.
Okay.
No.
We just have to amend it. We'd have to do an amendment to the agreement.
Amend the agreement or postpone the agreement?
Well, we could postpone it.
I'd say at least 80.
Summer season payroll is about 80.
At least 80 in a summer season.
I mean, we're taking more than this.
No.
Surplus in the budget, I don't know what else we can do with it.
Should we do it like on a percentage basis?
Well, we get payouts 3 times a year, and I was just hoping to maybe be able to increase that particular payout by maybe $1,000 or $2,000 each time. It would kind of help us shore up our balance, keep a nice balance, because we need to keep a little balance in our budget, because sometimes emergencies come up, we need a new instrument and it's a $10,000 deal, or we have sound issues. It's not anything that's cheap when we have to replace stuff. So we have to keep a balance, but it would be nice maybe to give our players a little raise.
It's the tax. I mean, that's all we can use that for.
Yeah, but before we consider it, I want to make sure we check the balances and
Sure.
kind of report to you. Honestly, I'm sure the money's there, but I just want to confirm it before we
We
do it.
could do the first reading tonight and a revised second reading
As far as the amount on the
as far as the
second.
amount.
So
You wanna do it that way?
Do a move to amend.
Well, again, without
We can't amend.
looking at
I don't know
the
yet.
balance of in that particular budget amount, I'm reluctant to commit, although I'm confident the funds are there.
The contract could be higher, but we still have to go back and amend the budget even if, once we
Right.
approve the amended contract, so. And we could, again, do the first reading tonight at this number, confirm the numbers and add the numbers to the second reading, just to keep it going.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be great.
All right with you?
Yep.
One question. When
Sure.
you said like the increase the pay,
Trying to figure out if there's any way.
I noticed like some people are $15, some people $900. I guess that depends on how often they perform.
Right.
And so how much is a basic pay?
A basic pay for a week is if they attend the rehearsal and the concert all in the same week, it's $35 for the week. So that's a 2-hour rehearsal and then a 1-hour concert. It's 2 nights of your week, though, And
I agree, I think we need to.
well, and if you look at the personnel list, it definitely depends on what they attend. If someone's in there for $15 or $20 or $30, they may have only come to 1 concert that summer. Or you could use my name as an example. If you looked mine up, I play summer and then I play with the wind ensemble. So I'd have both of those. And then, like Mr. Mooney, who's our conductor, his salary's higher because he has a lot more responsibilities with the band.
Any other questions for Stacy? You have anything else?
I just wanted to finish up to tell you that this is the last presentation you will have to hear from me. After 15 years, I'm stepping down. And your new president is Jim Dunsey, and you probably know him. It's Cap Dunsey's son. Cap was a founding father of our band. So Jim will do a great job. He's already the sound guy for our band and has been forever. And he wished he could have been here tonight, but he had a personal commitment. So you will be dealing with him from now on. But I thank you.
in the band, though?
I will still play, yeah.
I want to personally thank you,
Well,
even though
thank
you're my daughter, I'm still going to personally thank you for the job you've done
Well,
because
thanks.
she has kept this thing.
Well, if we can get a little increase, that'd help keep everything rolling along smooth, so.
And you always have a good sheet here where we can understand everything, and it's always balanced good, and I know Jim does a great job with that, so.
I give the kudos to the treasurer.
Yeah, pat on the back.
That's right. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next, city administrators report.
Okay, we had our first meeting of the committee, several committee members were here tonight on the building code. It was kind of the meeting where you get together and figure out what the issues are and everybody gets on the same page. Our next meeting's scheduled for February the 24th. In the meantime, Brenda has solved one of our problems. Going from 2003 to 2012, you're going over 3 code changes, and comparing them was difficult, but we weren't the first ones to address that. And so there's some comparison charts out there that we've been able to find and get sent to us, and will make the job a lot easier in making decisions about where to go on the codes. I report to you from time to time that I go to these solid waste board meetings and SEMO regional planning meetings. I'm pleased to be able to report that as a consequence of some of those meetings, we're able to make sure they're paying attention to St. Genevieve. The Wholesome Hazardous Waste grant was one that we had last year, but the new one this year is for Lucent to receive $20,000. And the attempt here is to keep things from getting into the waste stream rather than collecting them and disposing them. It's which is really, I thought, a unique aspect of this application that nobody else had of the 16 or so that were applied. So they're going to use that $20,000 to find ways to produce less waste, and that's good. The survey work has been completed on the road right-of-way and hiking right-of-way. We're going to have to revise our schedule a bit because it took us longer to make sure that we could do it with the Corps of Engineers and talking to the Archdiocese. And so we're working with the Corps of Engineers, not the Corps of Engineers, the Department of Natural Resources on a schedule adjustment. But since we started, they're pleased with our progress, and we don't anticipate having any problems with that. We also had a meeting of the committee to consider revisions to the Historic Preservation and Landmarks Commission ordinance and maybe the design guidelines. We didn't quite get to that part. The mayor has proposed some possible boundary line amendments that the board, this committee was going to consider. And did we schedule a follow-up meeting? Tomorrow? Yes, tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll be meeting again to address some of those things. Several of our insurance coverages now are covered by Missouri Public Risk. It's not an insurance company. We're members of this cooperative, and so your relationship with the company is different from an insurance company that you don't hear from, and they don't hear from you unless you have a claim to file. So they have a lot of resources, some of which I've talked to you about, that you don't have with a normal insurance company, and we took advantage of their risk advisor, management advisor, to come down and since we completed the all of construction on the street department building, to come down and tour our facilities and make sure that we've addressed every safety issue that we can. He did that. We have a report, and honestly, it was a pretty good one. I mean, we didn't have any major issues. There are several minor ones that we are able to address just by moving things, such as the barrels of oil and chemicals are sitting on the concrete slab there inside the shed. And so if there's a spill, then the oil gets on the floor and it becomes a trip hazard. So we're going to construct a little containment area. So if any of the liquids get out, they're contained in the storage area. And those are the kinds of things that he pointed out. We had an old fan that wasn't being used. It was just laying around. And he said, well, you're not going to use it. It's just a hazard. So, and so we got it out of the building and we'll scrap it. So I think it was good. He went to the visitor center and he went through this building. We tested the emergency lights, and some of them the lights were out or the batteries were dead. Just not something you think about, unless you. So it was a good experience. I sent out an email to everyone about our salt supply. Hopefully it's going to work out for us okay. Alderman Stupi suggested we look at the chat from Mississippi Lime, and I called Tower Rock. They use 1/8 rock. We ended up getting sand in order to make sure we didn't have any larger things in our spreaders, because we've had problems from time to time with some smaller stones hitting windows and cars when we spread, because we're in tighter quarters than they are out in the county. And so by using the sand and incorporating with the salt and hopefully not having a major event, I think we'll be okay. We're also looking at maybe doing and this was Terry Merritt's suggestion from an experience he had, is a smaller version of a brine tank that we could use, like the event Monday. Well, we got out and pushed snow and had to use a little salt and sand here and there, but maybe if we had a brine solution, it would have taken care of that kind of minor event. So we're gonna look at fabricating something in-house that we can use in events like that and save the salt for when you really need it. Right. At the park board meeting, we have an Eagle Scout who has proposed to put a lighted flagpole at the Main Street Park. He's continuing to pursue that with the park board's blessing. You have He's going to use a solar powered light.
That'd be pretty good then, yeah.
And he's doing fundraisers, and he thinks he's going to be able to get it done this summer. He wants to get it done before June Fed.
Good for him.
Yeah, that should work.
We had our a meeting with the Corps of Engineers. We reported in the past that we'd like to find a way to utilize the funds that we have for flood mitigation in a way that we can get credit from the Corps. And so we've had a lot of discussions, and they came down and we had a meeting yesterday to talk about it. And I'm going to let the mayor discuss it, because he's kind of a major player in whatever comes out of it.
Well, most of the, we also usually invite Levy District 3, since anything that we do, well, first of all, there's members on there that's got more experience with levees and flood control than what we do, and their input is always helpful. And also, once this thing is done, they're going to have to maintain it, so it's they got to buy into this whole thing too. So there's really, where we left it yesterday was they were going to try as soon as they could. I'm not sure why they didn't have this yesterday, but was going to go back and update all of the budget numbers that they've got. The major concern being the North Gabourey Creek. There's not a whole lot of options as far as the South Gabourey Creek, but the major part of the expenses was going to be on the North Gabourey Creek, and there's basically 3 proposals out there, and we are going to have to decide on one of them that they can write their report and make their recommendation on, and that's the one that they'll get approved. And once it's approved and signed off on is when we could actually start spending some money trying to implement that report or parts of it, like eliminating, I mean, the one that is probably at the top of everybody's list is the 3rd Street Bridge. Either eliminating it entirely and not putting it back, or replacing it. but we can't really do anything, as we talked in the past, without getting credit for it. We can't do anything until this report's done, and we have to decide on one of the three options. And one of them is a detention farther upstream. The other one is channelization of the creek, which is just making the creek bed basically wider, where all of the flash flood would basically stay in the creek bed, or in the creek, within the walls of the creek. And the other is a levee option with building levees and flood walls. And I think right now that one was the least expensive one, at least so far as our budget numbers go. You do shake your head sometimes, though, sitting here listening to the numbers and looking at people that have done some of those things before, and wondering why it's going to cost that much money, or why it should cost that much money. But anyway, they are going to get back to us with some updated budget numbers that more than likely will go up. I doubt that they would have come down. And see how we're going to be able to best utilize our $3 million that we've got sitting there for it. But right now, all of the options would take more of our 25% match than what the $3 million is. There isn't a $12 million project out there. I think the least expensive one at this point was 13. And that was really just doing the one creek. So we still have either, whether it's flood proofing or whatever we can on this creek, or possibly some buyouts on the South Gabourey, and then the whole recreation part. But there again, we get into it, and if we can if they will let us do some of the subcontracting and let us handle some of the contracts, or we can do it as we've proven in the past, at least with some of the estimates that we've gotten. I know we estimated replacing the 4th Street Bridge, and following MoDOT's, I think that's what they made us do, is follow MoDOT's design standards. We could replace the bridge for what the Corps estimated that they could design it for. So, I mean, if you could gain some money there pretty quick, but you're not going to know that, and they're going to cover their rears as far as their budget goes when they submit it. And again, the other part of it, which is a little disheartening, is in today's times with the federal government, who knows what year this thing would ever be funded in. So we could at least get the report done and be able to spend some of our money on it. They have agreed, as we've talked, that we could spend our $3 million and still get credit for that. Normally you'd have to spend it, your 25% as they spent their 75%, and you had to keep up with it. Well, they did get it where we will be able to spend that without them having to spend any. So we could make some improvements, or maybe some major improvements, that might make a difference with just our $3 million. So we hope a month.
They said they thought they could get the new numbers to us in a month.
We'll meet again, but we're
At least it's some progress. I mean, this has been going on for so long. There's been nothing. It's just sitting, and we all know when that flash flood or it backs up, it's right there on 3rd Street is a big cause of it, and that'd be a big...
Yeah, one new idea that had not been on the table before was brought up by Frank Meyer, and everybody's expressed concern about the Beauchamp House and how you protect it, and in order to protect it, according to the Corps' guidelines, you'd have to
Molt it.
build this huge dam around it. And Frank said, well, do we have to? I mean, it's been there as 200 years. Do we have to? And it's still there. I mean, do we have to protect it at that level? And they said no. And we said, well, okay. Then let's come up with something else and get over these hurdles that have been stopping progress for so long.
So that's where we're at with it, and
So about a month, you think?
I'm sure that whole group, again, along with some recommendations from Levy District 3, will try to decide on a plan, and that you all will have to agree to also to go forward. So we will keep everybody informed.
And finally, a month ago or so, there was a lot of stuff that was up there that the Tourism Advisory Council had put up, and kind of talking about things that we can do to supplement the major events that bring folks to the city that aren't big money spenders, but would add character and activity. And so we had another kind of appointed a subcommittee to do that. We had a meeting, and it was I think, very productive. I think it's from that meeting, I think we're going to engage some of the stakeholders and come up with things that are done that will be kind of fill in the gaps between the major events and provide interesting things for people to come down. I mean, like volunteers who will dress in costume on weekends and be available to be on the streets and attract attention. And we're talking about maybe getting the farmers market, into downtown and just things like that. I mean, I understood it was started downtown. Yeah, trying to get, that we should get more involved with them to try and get more vendors and to make it a cooperative effort instead of, the farmers market is doing theirs and downtown people are doing their thing and nobody's talking to each other. So that was a good meeting.
I don't think that's going to get done this year, but the farmer's market, because they talked to me about during the Fetch Saturday, usually they have it on Friday, but they like to go back to having it on Saturday, and asked me if we had any problem, and guess we'd have a funeral or something that, wedding would be later on, they'd already be shut down. So, but I know there has been talk about maybe going down the bank of St. Jen's old lot with the farmer's market. But
that was discussed as a possibility.
But I know this year it'll be pavilion at the Knights of Columbus, so whether that develops into anything, I don't know.
Any question, John?
Yeah. Did you ever look into Rozier Street bleeding so bad?
Yes.
Yeah.
What's the deal with that?
It's not a water leak.
I know it's not a water leak, but it's drainage problems.
It's just groundwater coming up. Now, somebody said, and I wasn't here, and that they laid Petromat under that before they paved it. I don't think that happened. I mean, it's because I'm seeing some muddy water coming up.
Did we ever talk to Yokers? They're the ones that did it, didn't they? Yokers paving?
Didn't they?
I mean, just to see if they have some suggestions, because I'm afraid we're going to end up losing that street yet with the freezing and thawing. It's bad when it...
If I remember right, there were some changes in that. They did run into some, they had to dig part of that out. Didn't we run into some pumping soil on that street?
They take out some bad subsoil, subsurface.
I want to think so.
I'll give them a call. I haven't done it. They'll remember.
Yeah, it's not that old a street.
No, it's sad that it's not that old and it's doing it already.
Anything else?
And then while we're talking about streets, of course, this out here, we all know is really messing. We're still on track for...
We've got a written commitment and verbal commitment from them to come back.
That's all I hear about.
Yeah, and rightfully so, I might add.
Yeah.
I guess,
just so we stay on top of it and make sure we get them here as soon as we can.
I guess dovetailing on it, this goes back, did we ever do a follow-up on the water tank on Market Street? They were going to repaint it, or whatever happened on that?
Terry, he's asking about the
water tank?
Blaine Street.
No, not the Blaine, right here. Right here by the water treatment plant.
The
guy was going to redo it, but did he ever come back and redo it? When it started rusting right away?
No, there's been nothing done on that. We put the pumping system in so that we could take that tank out of service, and that people had, their name, was it Whitehead, I believe, or something like that. They've been contacted, and they agreed to come back and touch those spots up when the conditions were right and the tank could be empty. The one thing is that was done and that was painted in like 2007 or 8 with a 5-year paint job, and now it hasn't deteriorated anymore since the first year that I saw it. But he has agreed, and the paint people came back and inspected it. all those blisters that everybody saw before I was here, those all went away. And I think that those were probably VOCs trying to leak out. And in order for him to come and do it the way he wants it to be done, the tank has to be empty. And we had a verbal and a written agreement on that. I know Frank had looked at it and we'd all looked at it, but there's never been an opportunity for him to come back with the weather conditions right since the pump was installed.
And the weather conditions for him would be hot and dry, which is the worst time to empty the tank.
Yeah, there's a complication there is for the weather conditions for him to be right is a prime time for us to need that tank to have water in it. So, but it hasn't been forgotten about, and there has been communication, but it has not been done.
Okay. One other thing.
Yes, sir.
While you're up here, I'm just gonna didn't we pay for stuff at the tank out on M Road that they still owe us for to whoever, a different company?
No.
Or they did all that now?
All that's been accomplished,
Okay.
all that's been provided. There is some issues that we've been dealing with on that tank, if anybody's noticed them. If you're coming into town from out M Road and you look up from where they painted it 2 years ago, some of that paint's gone. And we've been in contact with them because the city has a contract for them to do that. One of the problems in the contract is it's up to them when they decide to paint it. And they're telling us that they don't have any intentions of painting it again for a few years. So we have been in correspondence back and forth with them. I'm not happy with a couple of areas, but you have, from that contract that you all have with that company, they have fulfilled all their obligations.
Doesn't DNR have standards for exterior tank maintenance?
Yes and no. I mean, they give you recommendations that you should power wash them, you should clean them. Interior maintenance is more their concern. You're required to drain them and clean them out and inspect them every 3 years.
Yeah, but if
you have a response.
Exterior maintenance is required to ensure the structural integrity of the tank.
Yeah, we have a responsibility to maintain your equipment. I mean, and the contract you have with the company that paints your tanks, I think it's about every 10 years they'll give you a new paint job.
Remember when that contract's up? It's gotta be pretty soon, isn't it?
It actually renews every year. It renews automatically every year, unless you notify them in writing prior to the renewal date. It just automatically rolls over for another year. There has been discussion in the last couple of years of maybe making some changes to that, but they're pretty, the way the contract's written, it's you can't see that it seems like a lot of money to pay them every year, but if you're due for a $150,000 paint job in 2 years, it'd be hard to not pay them their fee
For 2 more years.
For 2 more years.
Right.
And then the way they've got that set up, they're not painting each tank at the same frequency. So it's pretty hard to quantify when and if you want to do something to the best interest.
How competitive is that industry? Would there be lots of people knocking on our doors if they knew the contract was available?
You know, the firm that you have that does this has a very unique business. As far as I know, they are the only company that does that they do. And what you all did was you paid them lots of money up front, and they got everything in order, and then you pay them a substantial amount of money every year, and they maintain it. We could do that as a city. We could take that money and put it in an account and build those revenues up and then take care of ourselves. But you know, they line up the contractors, they line up the painting, they line up the inspection. It's a pretty good program. They're just managing your money for you a little bit there and getting a fee for it. But they do a pretty good job. But they're the only ones I know that do that. There are companies that will come and do inspections and tell you when you need to paint your tank. And then if all of a sudden you need to paint your tank, you might have to come up with a couple $100,000 to paint a tank. And what happens in most communities is they have good intentions of setting that money aside, and then all of a sudden a rainy day hits and we need to spend that money, And then when the time comes to paint your tank, you don't have the money in the bank. So it's a pretty good program. It's probably the reason you entered into that agreement when you did.
Do they also do the clean and drain?
Yes.
Anything connected with water tank?
If somebody drove by and shot a hole in the tank and it was spraying water out, all we have to do is make a phone call and then they'll dispatch a crew and they'll come and fix it. They take care of it. The door blew out at M Road, the overhead doors basically rusted off, and they come and put new doors on. In the wintertime, we've had a few valves that have froze up and broke up on Maxwell Hill. And we notify them, they come and put a new valve on. All that's part of their deal.
That's pretty good.
Anybody any ideas?
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks.
We don't
Anything
want to say
else?
it on TV, right?
No.
Good info.
Okay, any committee reports? Nothing? Okay, at this time, 7:51, we'll open a public hearing. The Mayor and Board of Aldermen of the City of St. Genevieve will hold a public hearing to consider request for a special use permit to operate a spray painting booth in the auto body repair shop at 590 St. Genevieve Drive, which is located in a C1 General Commercial Zoning District. We've kind of talked about this whenever they got their special use permit, and
Applicant expresses his regrets. He couldn't get here for the meeting, but since we all kind of felt like this is something that should have been done before anyway, I didn't think that was a big issue.
No.
any other comments from anybody? Okay, we'll close the hearing then at 7:52. And somebody wants to make a
Move to approve.
Second.
check. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Minutes from the January 23rd meeting, approval of those.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And minutes of the closed session of January the 9th, it's coming around to you.
Plenty of them.
Move to approve.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Okay, old business, bill number 3962, second reading.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement between the City of St. Genevieve and the St. Genevieve Community Access Television Board, Channel 798.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call.
Alderwoman Zerwig.
Yes.
Alderman John Stupi.
Yes.
Alderman Jokers.
Yes.
Alderman Donnie Stupi.
Yes.
Alderman Ross.
Yes.
Alderwoman Brumfield.
Yes.
6 yes, 0 no's, 2 absent. Bill number 3962 now becomes ordinance 3902.
Thank you. New business, bill number 3963, first reading.
An ordinance of the City of St. Genevieve, Missouri authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement between the City of St. Genevieve and the St. Genevieve Municipal Band.
Can we table this until we know?
We're going to approve it on first reading.
just go to
and then
first
on the
reading.
second
Motion to approve.
Yeah.
Yeah, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Bill number 3964, first reading.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement between the City of St. Genevieve and St. Genevieve County to assist in the funding and cooperation of the St. Genevieve County Recycling Center.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes, sir.
Has there been any impact on the recycling center since, they're picking up at curb now, recycling items and,
When that first came up, I talked to them about what they thought what the impact would be, and they didn't think that it would be significant because they felt the people who were committed to their mission were going to continue to use them. I have not heard anything since then, but that's a
Okay,
good
so
question. I'll check it out.
Can we pay them $10,000 a year?
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Bill number 3965, first reading.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement between the city of St. Genevieve and St. Genevieve County regarding 911 dispatching services for the calendar year 2014.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. And bill number 3966, first reading.
An ordinance allowing the 2014 Show Me Green sales tax holiday to apply to the local sales taxes of the city of St. Genevieve, Missouri between April 19th and April 25th, 2014.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I think if I remember last year, we were one of the few city, counties in the state. There was only five or so, wasn't there? That
Yeah,
both of them
wasn't very
approved,
many.
wasn't very many. So we all right with this for,
Yeah, we're good.
okay. Okay, and bill number 3967, first reading.
An ordinance approving the amendment of the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission Transportation Enhancement Fund Supplemental Agreement dated June 29, 2007.
Just briefly, this is taking out the parking lot at the end of the trail up by the landing, because we couldn't get the right-of-way, or an easement.
Oh,
Move approved.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There's still, just on that subject, on the Community Foundation Board, and when this originally came up, there was a $5,000 that was set aside, and it's in a special fund, and it's now, I think, about, I remember right at the last meeting, it's over $6,000 for beautification of the landing, and it was going to go in conjunction with this, because before this grant came along, there was a group that had gotten together of property owners up there, Mississippi Lime being one of them, the ferry, and Power Rock was involved in it, Ron Inman was involved in it, about what we could do to improve the looks of that. And then the trail grant came along, and it kind of got weaved into all that. Well, now that this is not part of it, we can still do the grant and hopefully finally get it done, but it's not dead, and I don't know where we go with, what part we could end up putting this on and where those property lines are actually up there. But there is some monies that could be used up there to improve that landing if we can work around the railroad, so.
And the railroad's position is they don't want to do anything to encourage people to cross their tracks. And that's just it.
But we will encourage them.
Well, we can't improve their land without their permission. The landing site itself, I think, certainly, we could spend some money there. But, and just exactly where that line is, who knows?
Maybe if they put some gates there, it might be a little safer.
There are.
There's gates on there?
There's crossing gates.
Crossing gates.
Yeah, that's one of the things they said to me.
Down
We
there.
can't let you do that, we'd have to put up gates. You've already got gates. Oh, well, we can't.
I guess I haven't been down there in a long time.
Didn't the highway go all the way down to the ferry at one time?
I
hear people talk.
have heard, yeah, I can't find any record of that.
That
And I
it
talked
went through
to,
town all the way down to
Yeah, I've
Little
heard
Rock
that. Yeah,
Landing.
I've heard that.
Was a state highway at one time. Now, you figure they
Was that
crossed
a
it then.
dirt highway?
They always just maintain it, and it.
Used to have trailer court there.
it's 32.
Well, we still, I guess you still have an easement and
used
a
to
right
do
to
the
cross
train
it, but they
systems
just
there.
don't
Yeah.
want to say, well, here's this trail going across it and encourage people to go, so they're gonna say, no, we don't want you to do it.
It's like the burn site, they just assume we not be using that, and they put up signs saying, no, but
The stop sign right in the middle of the street?
Yeah.
But it's a prescriptive easement because it's been used for so long.
Okay, any public comments, anybody?
Minute,
Oh, we
yes.
got a couple.
That's some young lady.
Hello, my name is Rebecca Gons. And I'm Lauren Mercer. We are cadets of Troop 7838, and this spring we did our silver award at the park, and we made a mural that was to beautify the park and to show girls that they will never give up, and we have a picture of it.
Yeah, we have a couple pictures of us repainting the side of the concession stand and painting the mural, and
This is, it's like a portfolio of some of our stuff, and we're not finished with it. So it's partly done. It's more in the back than anything.
You're finished with the mural, you're just not with the portfolio.
Yeah.
yes.
They're painting the mural.
We wanted to thank the St. Genevieve community for like supporting us and everything.
And for allowing us to paint our mural on the side of the concession stand. And I don't know if Becca already said this, but it's out at Leon's field. Yeah, at the softball field.
It contains 4 quotes that we hope will inspire girls. And we also wanted to thank the St. Genevieve community for supporting Girl Scouts, because Girl Scouts is what takes girls and makes them become great women. And
We want to thank you guys for letting us come here today.
yes.
So we started out with just an idea of what we were going to do whenever our troop leader, Miss Engelman, told us that we had to do a silver award and that it needed to help and have an impact on the community. So we decided that since both of us are really artistic, we wanted to do something that had something with beauty.
So at the park, we went to the meetings and we asked them, and we got donations from 2 companies in St. Genevieve, and they donated paint, and they helped us. They told us how we can what kind of paint we can use and how we can make sure that it doesn't chip. But since the winter was so harsh and the rainfall in the spring and the summer, mud has gotten all over the mural. So we're hoping to go back this spring.
Once it gets a little bit warmer, so that way
To
the water
clean it
doesn't
up.
freeze onto the wall.
And to touch it up and everything.
Yeah.
And we are hoping to fix that problem, where that way next winter, if the same thing happens, that mud won't get on it. We were hoping to put plants where the mud was, or bricks.
And we're also going to be picking up trash, because every time we go there, we pick up trash, and we'll come back even the next day, and there'll still be trash everywhere. So we're going to stay there for a couple hours and pick up trash.
That's great, because you're right, there is a lot of trash. I'm up there at ball games a lot. Surprised at how much trash.
Yeah.
Good job, girls.
Doing that.
You did a real nice job. I look
Really
at it
good
all the
job.
time.
I do too.
I wondered who did it, and I never did know, so now I know, and you did a real nice job. Any other business?
Move to adjourn?
Are you a Girl Scout?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Miss
Kind
Miss
Kind
Gillis,
of,
is that you?
make the-